even come clean now, I still don't think I would want anything with you because you lie. And I, no, hell no. So I'm just like, yeah, I'm about to go. So dipped, and of course I was going to Chicago and I had like a week of that vacation. But I was like, where am I going now? Do I go back to Houston, whatever? But I had my flight booked to Dallas, and I went to Dallas not realizing that people in Dallas are on vacation too. So a lot of people weren't there. But one of my friends, David, he was there. So he was like, yeah, you can, crash at my place. And, David had, um, he worked for an apartment complex and they had like a background check system. So he had me like background checks and all this different shit. His record was actually clean. The only thing that I saw was, I guess, his family had like a financial rough patch, so where they almost lost their home, but that was it. He didn't have any like criminal shit on his behalf. So I was like, okay, and then mind you, I'm like, okay, since I can't believe nothing he's ever said, let me reach out to some friends. So I over here reaching out to people, and I was like, I should have did this earlier, because the friends willingly told me everything I needed. Like, I mean, they were up, and I remember that last time we came to Chicago, and you had to leave because you had class next day. Right after, we dropped you off at the airport, we went and hung out with these other guys. We just spent the night over there. And one time he asked me to get him a lift so he go and see this other guy. And this other time when this guy from Atlanta came down to visit, he was crashing his place. He said that was just his friend. But then we were going places, we'll see, friend will always have his hand on his leg and stuff like that. So we're like, that doesn't look too friendly. And he's just like, oh, well, don't tell Bevan. Or this other time, like, they just tell me all these times. And the thing is, I'm just like, I get it that y'all are not my friends, y'all are his friends, so y'all loyalty doesn't belong to me. So that's the reason why I didn't probably tell me this before. But bitch, how you gonna sit here and know all this shit and not tell me nothing? And gonna wait until I ask you to want to tell me? If you was gonna be quiet in the beginning, you should stay quiet. So I'm just like, I don't get it. So it's just like, learn all of that with those friends. His other best friend, she was really sweet, this slim, vegan, pretty little girl. And that's what we're supposed to go to the Polo Classic with. And she was just like, I thought that was canceled. I said, what you mean? She was like, yeah, I canceled the Polo Classic birthday trip because, Patient Zero said that you were going to get everybody a discount on flight tickets and you couldn't come through with it. And like, me and all my friends cash apped Patient Zero like $100 so we can, get our tickets, but you never came through. I said, bitch, I don't work for no airline. I'm like, what? I was like, well, how? What sense that make? I'm like, why y'all cash apping him for me to give you some mystical deal with a flight ticket? Where am I getting this deal from? Like, what? Like, it's just like shit like that. Like, it was just like a whole bunch of stuff that kept coming out. And I was just kind of like, okay, I'm learning all this different stuff, whatever. Months later, I go to Dallas, ran into the bitch in Dallas. And I thought I was over it, but in that moment, I realized I wasn't. Because I remember it's like he was trying to make like eye contact with me from across the club, and I'm not doing that. Like, we are not there. And I remember, like, as I'm in the club or whatever, he, like, I think he tried to walk by really close, and I think it was some type of walk by thing that led to me kind of, nudging him, because bitch, I'm ready to fight at all times. But, that's when I realized I'm not over it. And then and during pandemic, like almost a year after that, I was over it, but I was in Dallas. I'm thinking he made Dallas for that weekend for whatever event was going on. I didn't know that the nigga lived there, because the next time I went to Dallas, staying at my friend's place that had this like rooftop pool. We're at the pool chilling before we go to this party, and with the pool, it had like the infinity edge. So I'm leaning against the edge, like, just kind of taking in the scenery from downtown. My friend had their back against the edge, looking at the apartment building. So in my peripheral, I see him like wave at somebody. So I just, being nosy, turn around and see who he's waving at. And it's Patient Zero in some swim trunks with a towel and some flip-flops. And when I turned to look, his ass quickly turned back around and went back in the building. And I had to I was like, wait. I said, is that? And he was just like, oh yeah, that's my friend or whatever. I said, you know that story I told you about that lion scamming ass nigga? That's him. And he was like, really. He was just like, now some shit sense. And he started divulging all these different situations that happened that made sense to like why his stuff didn't add up, all this shit. And he was like, yeah, he lives here. He was like, he lives in this building. And I'm like, you're from St. Louis, lived in Chicago, has no ties to Dallas. The only tie you had to Dallas was knowing that I said that when I graduated from school in Iowa, I was gonna move to Dallas to work in my cousin's firm. And now automatically you living in Dallas. The nigga is psycho. But of course, I just kind of blocked him from everything. It did take me a little while to move on just because outside of the lies, he was a fun person to interact with. So of course, even though I blocked him and all that, my friends would definitely come and report all the different stuff they saw, including Burnett, until he started blocking their asses too. And and then after a while, I didn't want to even get any information from people reporting shit to me. I was just like, I just don't even hear about them no more. And of course, after that, I would definitely like randomly see some posts of people that I do follow with him in it. And it was just kind of like, whatever. But now I'm at the point like, I really don't even give a fuck. I could just, the Christian person in me is just like, you forgive. So I forgive. I don't forget because I gave this whole motherfucking story. But, I forgive. I moved on and I am good. So I definitely had to shut down banking accounts and reopen new ones, change locks, change passwords, all that. Because even though he didn't scam me, I was like, there was a lot of situations to where, what were you doing? You're sitting here saying, let me use your laptop so I could work on my essay in the living room. What essay? Why are you on my laptop? So yeah, so it's just like, there's just a whole bunch of like different things that I was able to make sense of after the fact. After looking back at it retrospectively and talking to different people that started to add different things, I'm like, okay, that's why he did that. Like the last example I'm gonna give, when I was on his ass of trying to like make him make stuff make sense, I was like, I want to see your office. I want to see your office at Google. Because he told me, he was like, yeah, I got this office picture that we took or whatever. I had it framed. It's on my desk because I just like to look at you when I'm working. I'm like, oh, that's so cute. But okay, cool. Show me your office with my picture on it then, since this is what you got set up. And it took about 24 to 48 hours for him to send me a picture of an office with a desk with our picture on it. And me zooming in looking like, that don't look like no furniture Google office would have. Like, I'm looking like, I feel like I've never been in this Google office, but it'll probably look a little bit better than that. His friend, the vegan girl whose birthday got canceled, she was like, oh, that makes sense. She was like, around that same time, he calls me at like 2 o'clock in the morning telling me, can you find that picture I text you, send it to me, and all this different stuff. And she's looking like, wow, you sent it to me, nigga, you should have it. He was like, wait, I deleted your thread because, my storage got full. No, because you was probably entertaining other niggas and didn't want them to see that I was in there. But my storage got full. Send me the picture back. So he literally gets the picture back, go get it developed, go get it framed, to go to the staffing agency that either the staffing agency or the hotel that he was working at the time, to find somebody's desk, to put it on there, to take a picture, to send to me. You're doing all this work to keep up a lie when you could have put all that work into actually telling the truth and maybe finishing that last semester of school so you didn't have to scam no more. But, we're not here no day. I moved on. It's a new day. I'm doing great.
First of all, Bevan, we need to make sure that you have the rights to this story always, so you can develop it. This needs to be a Lifetime movie, a big picture, a book, like this needs to be expanded.
I told him that. I was like, this story to me gives Lifetime. Like, you always watch these movies with like the person doesn't turn out to be who they said they were, and then there's like this intense violent scene. There's always an intense violent scene. You can actually like mix that up a little bit, Bevan, like make a fight scene with y'all. But
it was gonna happen.
but I'm telling you, this was like movie material, this story. I mean, look at it. It took the whole hour. Like, this is really a movie for real. Like,
and that was me taking out a lot of details. That was just me just trying to get y'all the bulk of things in chronological order. But it's a lot of other shit that I'm probably leaving out that I figured out later and all that bullshit. But I mean, what I can say, it was a great learning lesson. Moving forward, I know what to look for, and I know what I would keep. I would keep the lesson of, if stuff don't make sense, don't try to make it make sense. Let them make it make sense. And I also learned to not bring in that baggage to other people, because I remember after him, I dated this police officer and was on that nigga ass, and he was just kind of like, whoever you was with before me did a number on you, because he was just like, I feel like I need to run a background check and everything. I'm like, I'm so sorry, but run that background check because I don't trust nobody. But either which way,
it makes sense though, because it's like when you're in those type of situations, like a part of that sits with you when you go through it and dating somebody and you get to know them and you find out they're the exact opposite of what you've gotten to know, what you've gotten to trust, what you've gotten to feel. Like, that shit sticks with you. And even when you don't want it to, like, even when you don't want to revisit certain aspects of it, different people. So like, I'm definitely like happy and proud that, like, even despite this Lifetime movie event that you had, that you were able to reclaim your time and reclaim your energy and like literally put it in ways that benefited you. I think like to me it's crazy the same amount of time that this person put into Patient Zero put into scamming and making this lie. Like, he could be a great actor. He should really be an actor. All that time and energy that he put into filling this role and this persona, like, you make a great actor.
If you would follow his social media, he worked for Google. When we broke up, he was a teacher. He's done it all according to social media and what he put out there. So it's like, even though I moved on, I was like, you know what? I will still forgive and still kind of like hope for the best. And maybe he figures it out. He's still out there scamming, because just a couple months ago, somebody in Houston came up to me saying, hey, do you know a Patient Zero? And I was like, unfortunately, give him some money. Now, you ain't getting that bitch back. You ain't getting that back, bitch. You're not getting it back. You're still doing that shit. So it's just like, yeah. So, I mean, people, they don't learn. They don't want to learn. That's just all they know. Make their money, and that's it. So all I can do is not be crazy, let that shit go, move forward, and reclaim my time. And what's the name of this show? Taking Chances. And don't take no more motherfucking chances. So that's it.
That, I mean, it's just a lot to take in. I think, and I've told Bevan this, like, just knowing this story, that's why I really don't trust anyone either. Like, I just feel like when I meet people, it's like I'm always kind of like, I need to figure out who you really are. Like, because what you're showing me could be a representative. And that's just for anyone, anything. Like, that story is scarring. Like, it really is traumatizing to know and know. Because I met Patient Zero. And it's like, at the time when Bevan was dating Patient Zero, Bevan and I were roommates. So we lived together. And it's like kind of just scary, because it's like, Patient Zero could have been in our house, and Patient Zero could have tried to, who knows what Patient Zero was capable of. Do
you remember when you graduated and your friends from New York came down and stuff like that, and you were saying how your friends was like, they feel like something was sketchy about Patient Zero?
Someone said that, and I can't remember who, but someone definitely said, yo, like, something is off about this guy. Like, I don't know, his energy is off. Like, it might have been Lex. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Honestly, I can believe it.
But I know somebody said that for real. It was one of my friends. They definitely said, yo, something is off about this guy. He just rubbed me the wrong way. His vibe is off.
Yeah. I mean, I guess looking back at it, I feel like since that was my first time experiencing a lying, scamming ass nigga, I didn't know what the signs looked like at the time. Now I do. But in those moments, it was just like, well, maybe this or maybe that. I was trying to ignore the flags because I like this person. Like, I enjoyed this person. We had a good time, all that different stuff. But I learned.
The only thing that I think was a red flag for me from the outside looking in, and I told Bevan this while it was happening, was that he called you a lot. And I was just like, for somebody that has this 6-figure job, works at Google, he got a lot of time to be calling you. Like, I was like, that's odd. And Bevan was like, well, I like the attention. Like, I'm glad that he's.
I ain't say that.
I'm glad that he wants to talk to me. Like, you was happy about it. Like, to have somebody that was caring about what your day was, how your day was going. But it was kind of like weird because, again, you work at Google. If you have this prestigious position, you're not gonna have all this time. I'm telling you guys, like, he was calling a lot. Like, it would just be the middle of the day and he would just be calling. Me and Quentin don't call each other throughout the day. So it's like, I don't understand that. I understand it was a long distance relationship, but still boundaries. There was none in that relationship.
One, if you're unemployed, you got all like, you got time. And in addition to that, I feel like what he would also do is try to track me too. Like, he would like try to like, use, calling so much to kind of track, like, what you doing, this and that, like kind of like, whatever. Because I mean, even after the fact, like when I ended stuff or whatever, he was like still like low key, like kind of accurate about shit. I'm just like, what do you mean? Did I kind of block you in a different way? Because I'm like, this nigga is really like tracking me. So, I mean, yeah, you showed a red flag. Lex, brought suspicions. I had the suspicions. Stuff didn't add up. I didn't really dive into it because I'm busy in school. And two, it's like, I didn't really have tangible proof. But when I got that proof, it didn't take long. Like, the same day I got it.
Yeah. But Justin, have you had that experience where you was scammed or had something of that nature happen to you?
When that was last month. Well, we'll call that one patient 2.
All right, so I will tell you a little story about patient 2. Mind you, patient 2 was a referral. Okay, this is a referral. It was a referral. So how I met patient 2 was I was sent to perform a service. That's all I will say. I was sent.
Don't do that, because that don't sound good. That don't sound good.
All right, so I was sent to break a nigga's back.
So let me just add my little part in there. So mind you, the last time I was out there, we were visiting one of my friends because he was just saying like he was like on hard times and all this stuff. Lost his job trying to figure it out. I remember his apartment was broken into, and he was like trying to like reclaim different stuff. Regain like his laptop, all whatever. So I'm like, since he's all depressed and stuff, we got this friend, named Jen that could probably come over here and make you feel better, but, or what he said. But, me and my other friend, we never dated this friend. So we didn't know how he was with, dating and how he treated guys. We just knew he was cool, So that's why I referred. But I still apologize. Keep going.
You don't gotta apologize, Bev. But so we take Bevan and Q there. We go to meet patient 2.
Before you say that, not this Q, the other Q.
Callie Q.
Callie Q.
So after Callie Q and Bev leave, me and patient 2, we're vibing, we're talking. We kind of decided we wanted to kind of get to know each other before we jumped into anything. So I was like, all right, cool. So after that, me and patient 2 started to bond. We started to hang out or whatever. And because I'm a nice guy, at the time, patient 2 wasn't working. But I'm the type of guy where if I want to go out and do something and like you're on my company, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you gotta fend for yourself and pay for your own things. So like I would like whenever I wanted to go places, I would take him with me. We went out to go to lunch. When I took him to the Botanical Gardens one time, like, we actually did things. But like, apparently patient 2 was a business owner to everybody. He had this amazing business. Child, patient 2 ain't had no damn business. Patient 2 had a fucking business. I didn't even want to call it a business plan. He had a business idea. It became a business plan until Justin came into the picture. Okay, let's start there. But like, he would just tell me just different things about like he like what he would do in his like before he got fired. He was saying how he was just going through this depressive period, and like certain shit wasn't mathing because from the period of like, I would say a 5-month period, he wasn't working. But I'm like, rent in the Bronx is expensive. So I'm like, I don't know how you like, you don't have money to do things, but also how are you living in this place? Start there. So, and the whole time of me getting to know him, like he would just I will always wonder where, like, how is this dude paying for things? So we went out to one party, right? And the party, like, mind you, the party gave sus vibes. As I get in there, right? Go into the house, everybody's kind of like hee ha ha flirtatious with each other. So there's like this common thing that there's like this running joke that like OnlyFans is done at the apartment. And I'm like, and you know me, I want the tea. I'm like, you know, like, is this a real thing? I kept asking about like, so do y'all film over here? Do you film over there? Like, did you in this couch that I'm sitting on? Because do I need to move? Because like, you know, the shit happened here. And they're just hee ha ha laughing or whatever. So after we leave, you know, patient 2 is asking me, you know, how's it going? This, that, and the third. And I'm like, you know, it was a great vibe. But he's like, oh, did you notice that so-and-so was into you? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, you didn't really notice how so-and-so was, you know, really checking you out and doing all these things and blase. And I'm like, no, because, you know, I'm just minding my business, enjoying the party. He's like, oh, well, I thought you would really take notice of that. And I'm like, well, why are you so, you know, obsessed with this particular person? Come to find out, him and this particular person had history, apparently. Come to find out after the fact. So Q had an event in New York. That it was this one day Q had an event in New York where I was like, you know, I just got this job. Oh, left out an important piece. So he had got this job. Not gonna say what the job is, but he got this job where he was going for an interview for this job per se. You know, involve my friends in it to help him, you know, to like help him with the interview prep, called in a favor. He's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna call, you know, Burnette's referral, you know, I'm like, leave her get some prep for the interview or whatever. I found out after the fact, never really called, didn't take the link or whatever. So we get to the event, right? I tell him, okay, so I'm coming to Queens for an event, but afterward, like, we'll hang out because you got the job. Like, I'll take you out. We'll celebrate because I had got my new job. Let's hang out, do our thing. I was supposed to bring him stuff to prepare for the interview, you know, to prepare for the job. He was going away to do his thing. So I get to Queens. Mind you, I had to work in a vet in Connecticut. So I'm coming from Hartford, coming all the way to Queens. Get there, support Q, have a great time with Burnett and Q. I'm like, all right, coming to see you. I'm going to get you. He goes to me, oh, well, you know, actually, I'm on my way to go to Harlem. And I'm like, well, first of all, how are you getting to Harlem when you don't got no car? He's like, oh, so-and-so from the old party came and picked me up. You know, we're going to go have a pregame at his house. So mind you, I'm like, I'm basically in the Bronx right now, coming from Queens. I'm like, so now I have to cut through into Manhattan to come and see you. Mind you, you didn't even ask me if that's what I wanted to do. You just made your own plans. So he's like, oh, well, you know, I hope it's okay. Well, we're thinking about going out to Brooklyn. So, like, now I'm annoyed in a way. Because I'm like, bruh, I done came all the way from Hartford to Queens. I'm driving to you. Now you want me to cut back to, you know, to get to Manhattan. And then you want to go to Brooklyn. Mind you, none of y'all have cars. So who's bringing out of Brooklyn? So patient 2 completely, like, totally turns into a whole different person and starts blacking on me. Now I've never known patient 2 to have this side, but he just starts blacking on me. Oh, you know, that liquor got you acting all crazy. You know, this is on you. I don't got time to deal with this. And, you know, and matter of fact, we're never talking about this again. And I'm like, okay. So I asked him again. He's like, nope, we're never talking about it again. I'm not dealing with this. Hangs the phone on my face. So I'm like, all right. Now in my head, you know, I'm reminding myself. I said, a motherfucker that don't got no job, don't have no business, ain't paid for nothing, not a damn thing. Since we've been hanging out, and then the gaffer of it all, you barely got fucking clothes on your back to go to your fucking job.
You know.
You gonna hang on the phone in my face? I was just like, bro, I am too fine of an ambitious of a nigga to be bothered by this. So I'm like, you know what? No sweat off my back, right? No sweat off my back, because you know my rent's paid for. I don't have to worry about where my rent's coming from. I have a car, so hop in my little fine car on my fine ass up back to Connecticut. So the next day, right, I get a text message. Oh hey, you know, just checking in on you. Like that liquor had you acting all crazy. You know, what was up with that? Also, do you think you can bring me the clothes and the stationery supplies for my trip tomorrow that I really desperately need?
No. What'd you say?
I ain't say shit. I left that shit exactly where he left it, on the dial tone. So come to find out, like, old boy blocked me. And then like I'm like literally seeing just different things that he would or what, like there's certain shit about the math was making sense. Like the apartment was paid for by other people. Other people was putting money in his pocket to help him do things. The business plan, he would tell people. So he had this front that he was in this business, you know, making these fucking perfume bottles, and he owned it, and he's like parading around the people that, you know, he's this big person, he's launching this company, he does this. He didn't even have a fucking product. There's no product. How do you have a business and no product? Like I think with patient too, like I definitely learned to just be more I don't want to say necessarily learn anything more so about people. I think for me, I learned to be more cognizant of just myself and what I bring to the table per se, because I kind of feel like with patient 2, it was more so me putting like time into the relation to make it work. Whereas like when I think about it back, like he ain't really put nothing to the table because he couldn't afford to sit at the table.
Yeah.
So like it just taught me to just be a little bit more just cognizant of myself. I think the one case that really taught me to be more vigilant when it comes to niggas was there was actually a patient H from Houston I had encountered one time. So with patient H, I met him and we talked for like a period, I would say of like, it was like a 5-month period we talked about, right? So the thing with patient H was he would always come to my place. He would never like, whenever I'd be like, oh, I can come up to see you, he'd always tell me, oh, you know, I have family at my place, or I have this going on, or I have that going on. So it was we would only either meet at my place or meet at whatever place that he was going to, that we were like hang out at, whatever. So I always asked him for work. He told me he was like a teacher for some type of shit in education that he did.
We dated, girl. Keep on going.
So come the last month, we were talking. He kept telling me about this return to Houston that he's been thinking about doing, right? He's like, I want to go to Houston, go back home, because like I have some things I want to take care of. You know, I'm gonna just spend a couple of weeks there, and I'm gonna come back to see you and hang out with you again. And I'm like, okay, cool, like, you know, that's fine. But the way that he was talking about it, he kept putting like, you know, I'm gonna come back. But I'm like, dude, like, you know, I could see if like we were talking for like, you know, a year or so, but I'm like, I'm not really attached to you. So like, you know, you can go and do your thing and when you come back is when you come back. He's like, nah, I just want you to know that like I'm gonna be back I'm gonna come back. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Bet I'll see you and get back. So we hang out one night. Then it was the 2 days before he was supposed to go back home to Houston, right? So we're hanging out. We went to Fridays. That was like our thing, happy hour at Fridays. Got drinks, blase. Came back. So he's like, when he's making all these plans, he's like, no, when I get back, you know, we're gonna go. Like, let's take a drive upstate. Let's just do all these things. I'm like, okay, you know, that sounds great or whatever. So fuck around a little bit, then he goes back home. So he sends me this video, right, of his day at work. And
pause real quick. When you said fuck around a little bit, what did that entail? Okay, go ahead. What about the video?
I give the details on the side, baby.
Okay.
But so I get this video from him, right? And in the video, it's like his coworkers, you know, they threw him a little party. So he's like, oh, look what my staff members did, you know, show me the video. Now, mind you, I work for the feds part-time. So like, I peep shit. So in the video, I see they had like a little whiteboard and it was like, oh, good luck on your move. Not, you know, oh, you know, you're coming. Like he basically told me it was a party because he was changing jobs. But the party was because he was actually moving back to Houston. So
was the move for the job or is just
no? He told me he was going down there just to handle some things. And in reality was they threw him a party because he quit his job to move permanently back to Houston. So I asked him about this because, you know, I'm the feds and I peeped this. So I'm like, he's like, oh, look at what my friends did, you know, my coworkers did for me. You know, this make me feel so good and so special. And I'm like, oh, that's nice and great and dandy, but that's a nice whiteboard that you have in there. Tell me what that's about. And he's like, what do you mean? I said, that whiteboard. I said, it has a very interesting message on it. He said, what about it? I said, it says, good luck on your move back home. And he was like, at first he was like, that's on there. And I'm like, my nigga, like, I'm college educated. Don't play with me. That, you know, that was on there. Like, you know, that was on there. So he's like, well, he's like, I was trying to really, you know, find the words to tell you this and without you making it a big deal. I was like, first of all, like, I just met you 4 months ago. I said, so like, it ain't that difficult to tell somebody, hey, like, I may be moving. But I was like, matter of fact, like, so let's just get straight to it. Like, are you actually moving back home permanently or are you just visiting? He's like, yeah, well, the truth is I'm moving because I don't know if Connecticut's the right place for me. And I just think that I would, you know, do better than in Houston. And I didn't want to break it. You know, I didn't want to, like, you know, tell you and create, you know, this implication that I'm just some deadbeat guy and I'm going to leave you high and dry. I kind of wanted to, you know, get there, work out a little bit, and then, you know, ease it in and see if it's something that, you know, that we could really go the distance with. And I was like, I said, well, you ain't starting off on a great note, buddy. I'll tell you that much.
And if I didn't read the whiteboard, you would have left me high and dry. So I don't get it. Like, right.
So he's like, you know, like, I'm sorry you found out about that with, you know, this way. I wanted to tell you personally. I said, but it's not in the fact that I found out about, you know, you moving in this way or that, you know, you wanted to break it delicate to me. I was like, you directly lied about what you were doing. And I'm like, you lied. I said, I'm not even upset at the fact that you lied because I don't know you that well for me to have like a real, like, deep, like, oh my God type of reaction to this. I said, I'm more upset at the fact that you lied about something so stupid.
They lie. Niggas, they do that.
I'm like, you made a whole like scenario as if, like, you know, you wanna commit to me and get to know me more and do long distance and you're coming back to do all these things. When reality is you're moving. And I was like, frankly, I said, had you would have told me the fucking truth and just been like, you probably was moving, I'm like, I probably would have visited your ass. Like, somebody that I'm talking to and vibing with, they live in Houston. You wanna make it work? Okay. Let's fly back and forth. You want to make it work. And he's like, oh, well, you know, I still want that to be on the table. I just wanted to figure out my part. But I'm like, see, but that's what you messed up at. You made a whole story to cover your ass without factoring me in it.
So do you think that maybe it was like a pride thing? Like, he probably was a little too prideful to admit it?
I can't really say why he did it. Like, for me, it was like, it wasn't.
Because niggas got that problem too. Because niggas got that problem too. They lie and they prideful.
But like, what is there to be prideful? Like, okay, like, I could see if if me and this guy had like the same amount of years that I've known you now, Bevan, I could see if like, what is it, like 3-4 years now? I could see if we had like that type of time in it, and you lied about something like you like if we have history like that, for you to feel like, damn, I really have to like, I don't want to hurt his feelings, so let me tell him and make up this whole reality because like I really like this dude and I care how he thinks and feels. Like to me, like I consider that, like, oh, if you're gonna lie about something, like lie to me like as if we have like time in history. Like you don't owe me shit. And I guess in that situation, like I was the person that's like, my nigga, like you don't really owe me shit. Like you don't gotta lie to me. I think it's the fact that you lied to me when you don't owe me shit.
Don't lie to me at all. In the beginning, in the middle, and the end. Just don't lie at all.
That's the thing. It's like you and what's crazy is niggas will put more time into creating the lie, and that's the sickening thing about this scam shit, right? Niggas will put more time into creating the lie, into sustaining the lie, into making the lie, trying to make the lie make sense, even when it don't make sense. They will put time and energy to try and make the damn lie make sense. But they just fucking be honest.
It's really crazy because this whole thing, like, it's nothing new. Like, this has been happening to our parents' generation. This has been happening from the beginning of time. And I remember when I was younger, my mother, she had a friend who was trying online dating. It was something that was kind of innovative at the time. They came out with the show Catfish and everything, but there was like Black People Meet, Christian mingles, something like that. And I know she had met this guy online, and she wasn't having luck, with like in person, I guess. And I think that had to do with just schedules and like being busy. She recently was divorced, and she was trying online dating, and it was just a mess. It was a nightmare because ultimately what ended up happening was she did fall in love with someone, and the person was just taking a whole lot of money from her. I don't really remember all the details of like how she was sending it or why she was sending it. I think he was saying that he wasn't on his feet, like he was going through a rough patch, and she was sending him money. But in all reality, he was scamming her. I don't even know if they ever really met in person. I think they might have, but when she did, I don't know if he looked like how he said he did. Like, it was just a mess. It was a nightmare. And really, the guy was just scamming her. Like, I think he even tried to get her to open up a credit card. And it's sad. It's really sad because I think everyone is just searching for this idea of something like a relationship, love, whatever, what have you. And there's just a lot of people who are not willing to be transparent and be authentic about that. And they don't care who they hurt.
I think it's not that. I think that since we know that a lot of people are out there searching for an idea, we have a lot of people out there trying to sell the idea we're searching for. So I feel like they're trying to give you what you want when they know that you might not want what you got to give them. But my thing is, give me that option. Give me that opportunity, because I might like your bum ass. I might be able to work out with you,
Exactly. It's like they're taking a choice from you. That's what I think is unfair, because the power element, it's like they just want the power, and they're removing that idea of you having a say in what's going on, because they're just being dishonest. Like, they're not being honest with you. It's unfair. And I'm just happy that in both situations that you guys made that conscious decision to be like, well, this is it. Like, I'm done with it. Because there are people who still would continue on and kind of be going with that back and forth. And it's unhealthy. Mm-hmm. So
I just think with like, it takes being able to like, one, of course, like recognize the lie and dishonesty. But it's like, once you see through somebody's manipulation, because that's a part of it too. When people lie, when people do shit the way that they do it, there's a manipulation that comes with that. Like Bevan and you said, it's people who don't make the conscious choice to not be manipulated by the way and the version of someone or a version of who they present themselves to be, makes them feel and whatnot. Like, I think in that situation for me, when I really took a step back and like broke away from, the fabricated version of both of those situations, like I had to make a conscious choice for myself and be like, you know what, like, even though you are these things, like I can still make the choice to walk away and not deal with it and see through the bullshit. Like I'm talking to this not talking, that's a strong word, I don't use that word these days. This person is trying to converse with me. I'll say that. he's trying to exchange words with me. So he's chatting to me, talking to me about, I'm the type of guy where I take charge. I take charge when I play my game. I want you to slurp on me while I play my game, this, that, and the third, blah, blah, blah. And like, I'm daddy. And I was like, well, let me just stop you right here real quick.
Sounds very power bottom to me.
It's not giving that, okay? It's not giving that. But like I broke it down to him because one thing he said to me was, he's like, you seem like you're just somebody that can see through bullshit. And I was like, I said, if we're being frank about the conversation that you're trying to have with me, and I said, I feel like I'm at this point with people, whereas like you're gonna get the actual version. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything with people anymore. I'm like, it's not the fact that like I don't like to be, I don't like to be controlled or whatever. I said, it's just like I just see bullshit. And I said, frankly, if we're gonna address the bullshit, I think what you're saying to me is bullshit. And he was shocked at how I said that. He's like, I've never gotten direct feedback to what I'm saying. I was like, because here you are, you don't know me, right? You're using the same tricks that you've used to talk to other people, other men, and it's just like you don't know me at all. So it's like you saying all these things like, oh, I'm gonna be daddy, this is that and third. Like, my nigga, you don't know me. So it's like, why are you putting time and energy into creating this version of yourself that you think is gonna lure me in to like you? When nigga, the shit that you're saying to me is not vibing with me. You're talking about, you're gonna be doing this to me, when in reality, the likelihood of you, like most times, often, if you have the voice, you wanna plow or whatever, like 9 times out of 10, it's usually you that gets plowed.
Oh my gosh.
And like that's
this episode gonna need an MA rating.
But without the explicit details, the point that I'm trying to hit home at is like, it takes being able to see through people's manipulations, be able to walk away from certain shit. Not everybody can see through a person's veil and be able to make the choice to walk away. So it really takes being able to have ownership of yourself and just independence of yourself to be able to walk away and say, you know what? This nigga is a lying ass, scheming ass nigga, and I don't got time for the bullshit. Or this nigga is his whole facade, I ain't vibing with it.
I think it takes the experience too, because I could hear everybody's experience about, oh, this scammer, this, that. Sometimes they kind of glorify that, like, oh, bitch, I gotta be a scammer, I'm getting this, I'm getting that, and all the jewels and all whatever. But I feel like actually experiencing a scammer, and not even a successful one, because people, where are my jewels, where my Gucci at? I didn't get none of that. So I'm just sitting here like experiencing it, seeing how they move and how they think and the stuff that they do. It's like, that made me kind of be a little bit more cautious.
Wait, weren't you promised Gucci socks though?
Yep. And what's crazy is that
I'm into that.
Took a picture. Remember he sent me the picture. He sent me the picture of the Gucci socks, like, and never got them. And I'm just like, did you just buy them and take a picture to return them? Were they a gift to you from probably somebody else you were scamming? Like, I don't get it. But there was a lot of stuff I didn't get, and it took closure in that situation and experience for me to realize, okay, I didn't get it because they were lies. That's why I didn't get it, man. So
I still feel like you should have got something out of it. Like they glorify the scammers in these damn songs.
Well, what I can say is, I mean, after the whole situation with Puerto Rico or whatever, he did pay me the first. We broke the installments up into 4, and he paid me 2 before I ended things. And I almost didn't want to end things, so I got my other 2. But I was like, you know what? I can't prolong this. You paid half the amount, which would have been to cover yourself for that trip. I'll just, eat the rest, which would have been my half, and it is what it is. So we just chunked it up like that.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was going to actually ask, when you were expecting to be paid, were you expecting to be paid the full thing, or were you expecting to be paid half?
Well, mind you, I'm not like gullible or anything like that. And I'm very understanding. I can be nice or whatever. But it'd be a real quick little switch. So when he saw that, he was paying me my installments. Like the installments was coming through. So, because bitch, I know where you and your sister stay, but my installments. So I feel like if I would have, kept it going, he probably would have paid me in full because he was actively. And mind you, how you say he was like blowing my phone up during that time. He wouldn't blow my phone up because he was scamming. He was trying to get that money to pay me back. So that's why one of my friends was saying, like, maybe, I should think about it because even though he's a scammer and even though this and that, you could tell that he actually liked you because he wasn't scamming you. He was doing what he had to do to kind of pay you back, all this different stuff. And I'm just like, oh, that's great. But I mean, I like lying. I can't really work with that. I can't really work with the lying part. And then you're not even a good scammer. Because now if you were a good scammer and you were actually making money, maybe we could work something out. But you're a scammer. So it's like, what are we working out? So,
So we usually, Bev, you're used to this. We always close each episode with a fun question that I or my fellow co-host post to the group. So in the spirit of reclaiming my time and Scam Likely, what is some advice that you would offer to viewers who may or may not be encountering similar situations to the ones that you and I have talked about in this episode? What would be some piece of advice you would offer them?
My advice would be to not only listen to what the individual is telling you, but fact check. If you need to do some background checks, run one. If you need to go ahead and kind of see what friends have to say about them, do that. Get some supporting information, get some details to kind of supplement what they're telling you. Because like you said, with that whole trial period phase, that's when people want to give their best foot forward, and sometimes they're not lying, but they're gonna frame it in a way that kind of boosts them up more. To where somebody might say, "Oh yeah, I work in the medical field," and you think, "Oh yeah, doctor," but they're actually like, somebody wheeling in people into the emergency area, and it's like, or they security at the hospital, whatever they work in medical. So it's just like you kind of just have to kind of hear what they're saying, but then just kind of fact check it. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like in the beginning, you're probably gonna think that you're a little crazy for, being skeptic, but there's nothing wrong with being skeptic. There's a problem with being a cynic, where you just think everything is wrong and everybody's wrong. That's the problem. But you can be skeptical, you can question things, you can fact check things. And I wish I did earlier. So, I think that would be my advice.
Mm-hmm. I think the advice I would give to people is to always trust your intuition. Like I really lean more into like my intuition as of lately because like normally 10 times out of 10, if you get a gut feeling about something, that's your body trying to tell you that something isn't right. And usually that first feeling is always the right feeling. So definitely always like if you're in those situations, like trust your intuition, but also like Bevan said, like check the receipts, check his friends, check, her job, check if the math ain't math, and then do your due diligence. But don't sit there and just accept a version that somebody tells you if that version ain't sitting right with your spirit. So definitely, trust your intuition and pull receipts if you need to. Because 9 times out of 10, the information is all free, easy to find on that person. when the person is lying, 9 times out of 10, that shit will come out one way or the other.
And people love to talk, so ask them questions. They'll talk.
Anything you guys want to add, B&Q?
Yeah, with the couple, tell us, help us all.
Help
me like y'all.
Help me the single folk out. Show us the way.
That's tough because we didn't like necessarily find each other, so that's kind of like tough. I mean, I feel like for us, I guess the vetting already had happened. So, but you still, like you said, do your fact check. Definitely, you ask around. You definitely, listen to their friends. Even though sometimes with the whole friend thing, you got to be careful what you do listen to, because sometimes you'll have those friends who will back the lie. They'll be like, "Oh yeah," and they'll be like, "Oh yeah, that's the best person you could ever meet," knowing that they doing the stupid shit. So I'll definitely say take everything with a grain of salt, and then definitely go with your gut. Your intuition will tell you everything.
I would say in my experience, and I wish I could like go back to my younger self, because I have been in scenarios where like the person that I might have been interested in, their friends told me straight up, like, this person isn't for you. Like, you could do so much better than this. Like, this is not, like, you shouldn't be trying to deal with this person. Like, they've been like forthcoming in that way. It was just on me kind of like not listening to them. Like, y'all don't know what y'all talking about. Like, I'm just gonna mind my business and take, like you said, take it with a grain of salt. But really, I should not. I should have took the whole salt bottle. Like, I shouldn't have been taking a grain of salt, because like what they were saying was really true. And I think that, like you said, Bevan, sometimes you would think people's loyalty is to the other person, but when people can recognize that you're a good person, sometimes people really will look out. It's not all the time, but there are a few times where people see like, yo, you're really a good person. My friend is going to violate you, and I don't want them to do that. So let me just let you know off rip, like, what's going on. Here you go. Here's the facts. And what you want to do with that is what you want to do with it. But you know, I've learned from you guys. I always tell my friends that I've lived vicariously through you guys, because you've had experiences that I probably will never see, not directly anyway. And so I think for me though, like, I'm just naturally, I would say I'm a closed person. I'm a very closed person, a very private person. So when I meet people, and Quentin says this all the time, he's like, yeah, you, like, when I first meet people, I don't like them, he says, and then it takes me time to get to like them. And I'd rather be that way than be all up in your face and like super friendly, and then it's like, then you burn me. I'd rather just kind of wait and see like how you move before I just open up myself to you, because I don't know, it's scary out there. Like, people are scary, so
I got a question.
Gotta be careful. Yeah.
Did Quentin get that shirt before the podcast today, or did he get it for the podcast?
Oh, he had.
I've had this shirt.
You watch him, girl. Watch him.
But no, this shirt is in support of Fuck Your Brand. It's a black-owned company in Brooklyn, New York. So they created this shirt, so I bought the shirt. That because Burnett also has on their shirt. So
yeah, I do.
It's a clothing brand.
Fact check. I'm not playing.
a lovely gem of advice from our beautiful power couple here. They're leading the way for us. But for those people in Ghetto Street that Bevan and I are in, listen closely. Bevan and I have given you three stories to be vigilant for and to watch out for. Make sure that you're doing due diligence. Make sure you check those receipts. And then, always ask those questions. Never be afraid to ask those questions, and stay safe out in these streets, y'all. This has been another episode of Taking Chances Podcast. We out.
Yeah, never mind. Yeah.